I'm going to start with the chutney first, and then I'm going to show you how to spice the duck breast. I already ground the spices up. It's allspice, black pepper, and I think star anise. So in this dish, I'm going to use all dried fruit in there. I got dried cherries, apricots, raisins, dates, and if you had cranberries, we'd use cranberries. But we don't have cranberries, so we're going to make it without. And it is going to work. With this dish, like I said earlier, I want to play off the acidity of the different things. Like you got the acidity in the cherries, a little bit of acidity in the apricots, and in the raisins. So all these, and the orange juice. I'm using orange juice in this dish too. Okay? So we're going to use apple juice instead. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. And why olive oil? Because I like the fruitiness and the acidity and the flavor of olive oil. And I think that works very well with the fruitiness of the chutney. Okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my whole spices in there, which is clove, cinnamon, and star anise. Okay? I'm going to bloom that till that gets very aromatic and extracts the flavors. I've added ginger julienne in there too. I've taken ginger, peeled it, sliced it very, very thin, and to extend the orange flavor, okay, I'm adding orange zest. Okay, once that blooms, I just go ahead and add my chili pepper in there. And again, you can add more or you can add less. Okay, I call for a smoked pasilla pepper. Okay, so once that happens, we take the orange juice. And like I said, let's go crazy.
While Floyd's doing that, just a quick note about orange, lemon and lime zest. For those of you that like the idea of using it but want to be able to put your hands on it straight away, perhaps you want just a sprinkling of it, one of the things that I do, and a lot of chefs do, is when you have access to an ingredient that you don't need at the time. For example, let's say you need a lot of fresh orange juice and you therefore have a lot of fresh orange skins. What I do is, before I cut the orange, use a vegetable peeler and peel off just very thin outside pieces of the orange, lemon or lime, and then put them in a slow oven on an oven tray for about half an hour until they're really brittle, not coloured, just brittle. And then drop them into a food processor or a blender until they're powdered, and then store them in an airtight jar. And then you have dried orange powdered zest to add a sprinkling of whenever you need it, when you want to just add a little bit of fruit flavour or something a little bit different. And of course, you have the opportunity of using it when you don't happen to have an orange or a lemon or a lime. It's a pity to throw all those orange skins, lemon skins and lime skins away, and it's one way of adding something to your cooking with the least amount of inconvenience.
Okay, so you're basically going to let this cook down, okay? And once it cooks, once it starts boiling, reduce the heat down, and it goes pretty much slowly. And once it cooks, okay, there's one more ingredient that I didn't speak about, is the Lucknow fennel seeds. And this is a smaller fennel seed, okay, and if you eat in at Indian restaurants, they normally give this to you when you're finished. And people don't normally cook with this, but I think this is a great, I'm going to pass this around, I'm sure you've eaten it, but it's just so aromatic and so sweet that it's so different from normal fennel seeds. And we add some of that in there, and a little bit of salt. Now for the duck breast. Very simple. I'm not sure if you can buy duck breast like this, but if you get the whole duck, you can take the breast out, you trim it, keep the skin on. Okay. If your duck breast is more fatty than this, and you can get fattier duck breast than this, you're going to cook it a lot longer. Okay. I like to leave the skin on because I think the skin and the fat has some flavor to it, and you render it out. It gives it a little more flavor to it. And what I do is I put the spice on here. I kind of let this sit overnight. And what this does, the oils and the spices go into the breast, and it kind of cures the breast a little bit. It doesn't cook it, but it just gives it an awesome and aromatic flavor. And when I'm cooking it, you're going to see what happens to it. I have a little bit of salt in the recipe, but if you want more salt, you can put more salt. So you're going to put it in there. You'll go on low heat, and you're going to see the fat and the duck breast coming out. Okay, I'll show you what happens. Once that happens, what we do, this should cook for approximately, let's say, 40 to 45 minutes. So you can see, you have the fat coming out. Okay, and if you put the heat lower, you're not going to get color right away. It's going to be very, very slow. It's going to be rendering out. If you like duck fat, you can save that fat and use it to cook. Nothing wrong with it. Tastes awesome. So once it, and I'm going to show you how I baste. Once the fat starts rendering out, okay? If you have too much in the pan, you are going to throw it out. You're not going to keep it, but get the fat over, and you're going to just kind of pour it over the breast. So that is going to cook until it reaches this stage. Okay? So when you see the breast, it gets pretty dark. Okay? All the fat is gone and it's shrunken a lot because it's being cooked. And then what we do is, you have grain in the meat. Okay? You want to cut against the grain. If you don't, it's going to be very stringy and very tough. So you're going to slice it as thin as possible. So what we do is we take a little bit of this chutney in the middle, and I like to fan the breast out. I like to sprinkle a little bit of salt on top, and there you have it.
Looks beautiful.
If you have croutons at home, French bread, put it to chutney. Very simple.